Test, test, test. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to another day with the Financial Coconut. In our podcast, we'll be debunking financial myths, discovering best financial practices, discussing financial strategies that fits our unique lives. You get it. Ultimately, empowering us to create a life we love while managing our finances well. So, whether you're interested in the pursuit of the common narrative, getting a degree, finding a job, setting up a family, and live happily ever after, or you're an avid FIRE believer, F-I-R-E. For those who are new to the term, FIRE means financial independence, retire early. Or you're just quirky, like me, questioning and trying to create a life you love, there should be something for you here. So whether you're on your way to work, to school, chilling by the beach, or just cuddling, snuggling in bed, the first topic that we're going to talk about is, why am I doing this? There are many reasons as to why I want to do this financial podcast, and as a rule of thumb in our podcast, we'll be talking about 3 points. Every podcast will be 3 points only. If I feel that particular topic has a lot of good pointers, then yeah, maybe we'll do 2 podcasts. But in general, we'll do 3, okay? So, I'm going to share with you 3 points as to why am I doing this. And some of you may feel a little more connected with the points, some of you may not, but it's okay. It's about getting to know each other and probably you getting to know me better. We're trying to build a community of financially savvy coconuts here. And so the first point, I feel there is a lack of financial literacy education. I don't know about you, but I'm extremely surprised that I'm the first guy trying to do a financial literacy podcast in Singapore. Wow. And maybe in Malaysia too. There is one podcast in Malaysia, Ringgit and Cents. It's more like a cutout from an FM. But you get it. In our region of the world, people don't really talk about financial literacy. And to me, it's a huge concern. Our schools don't address it. Sometimes they get some part-time programs, but it's not a focus. Most of our parents don't know better. If your parents knew better, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. They would have already taught you everything that you need to know to equip you with the capacity to then straddle all these personal finances and all these personal challenges, especially when you now start to make some money. And yeah, to me, because of this huge lag, I want to fill in the gap. I want to be able to start our conversation and just be able to open up more minds and get more readily accessible resources for more people to get a little glimpse as to personal finance, different aspects of finances, your income, your expenses, debt, insurance, savings, investments, etc., etc. But yeah, I want to let you know that over here, there's no rags to riches story. Yeah, I'm not like some guy that was born into a dirt poor family and lose everything in my investments and blah 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 and suddenly become like a huge ass rich millionaire. I'm not that kind of person. I'm just an average Joe from an average family. We went through hard times growing up, fair. Um, yeah, and I lost some money doing businesses, went through a low period of time, but I worked to get my capital back and then started investing my capital. It was a step by step by step. I've come to reach a point where I'm kinda semi-retired. Essentially means that, I don't need to exchange my time for money to survive. So I've kind of managed to bring down my expenses and create a sufficient income from my investments to be able to match it so that I don't really need to do more work to live, right? And one thing you need to know is that I'm currently located in Kuala Lumpur. Although I'm from Singapore, I'm in KL because Singapore is really expensive. $600 to $800 just to rent a room at a HDB flat. My God, I'm renting a condominium here in the suburbs of KL, Subang, for like less than 500 Sing. 2 rooms, swimming pool, amazing, good life here. So yeah, adjusting our expenses is something that we need to be realistic about. Of course, raising our income and investing and all these kind of stuff. Essentially, we want to be able to get more people to talk about financial literacy and create a channel to propagate and educate more people. Yeah, I think that's a good start. And of course, my second point is that I actually went through a quite a long period of financial anxiety. And yeah, I would like to raise awareness for financial anxiety. Coming from a family that we're not dirt poor, but we've been through really choppy times. My dad's a gambler, and yeah, we were bankrupt, and my parents were really young when they had me. I hated them for a long period of time. Now I no longer hate them, and I'm going through this phase of accepting that, recognizing that they were young and wild. They had me when they were 21. Yeah, and 21, we make mistakes. I made mistakes. All of us make mistakes. So yeah, I get it. So I forgive them, but then I still need to be responsible to lift myself off all these financial anxiety, right? So coming from a family with very choppy, finances, and then going into businesses and accidentally participating in scams and losing all my money, losing all my friends, you know, having many months of hovering at zero, all these kind of stuff made me really, really afraid and very anxious, when I had to think of how to spend. I get like very worried and my emotions come up and my head is just like going to burst every time I think of spending, even though I started making money. Yeah, that was is a very interesting thing, and we will spend some time to cover financial anxiety. Of course, I'm not at the level of a disorder, right? It's a spectrum, and I believe many people have very unhealthy relationships with money and suffer some form of financial anxiety. It can be that you can never, save money because you have a very uncomfortable relationship. You have to keep spending it, or it can be that you could never spend like me, or you can never put yourself to go and make some money, or all kind of situations. As long as you have a very uncomfortable relationship and you get anxious and nervous in some form or another when it comes to personal finance, when it comes to money, then yeah, I would safely say that you have, some form of financial anxiety. And I'm not proclaiming that I'm some therapist or some expert in the field. I highly recommend you look for professional psychotherapy, and and that if you are at the level of really, really breaking down when thinking of all these and very jittery when expenses come in and all these things, if it's very serious, I applaud I would encourage you to visit a therapist. It is cool because I went for therapy for like maybe close to half a year, and yeah, after that I stopped going, not because I don't want to go, because it's a bit pricey, huh? But you get the idea. It's great. I believe that we need to embrace therapy, and it's beautiful. Essentially, it's just building a relationship all over again and having someone guiding you to rebuild the relationship with yourself and with money, and just working through all these kinks in our processes, which is perfectly cool. And I want to be able to provide a platform to raise awareness that actually many of us have very, very unhealthy relationship with money, some anxiety, and yeah, let's solve this together. And the third point for today is that I want to create this platform for discussion. I feel that in Singapore, many of us, we are not open to discuss many things, okay? um, Especially when it comes to like pay, credit card debt, how much you're paid. Nobody wants to tell me how much they're paid, you know. But okay, I've come to have this capacity to ask people how much they are paid, and I don't mind sharing with you that actually is essentially just asking it in a very calm and nonchalant way. Hey, how much are you paid, huh? And people will tell you because they don't feel like you're judging them, because you're just cool about it, right? But it's okay. Don't go around asking people how much they're paid if they're not comfortable sharing with you. But the point is, many of us are not comfortable talking about, hey, I have this credit card debt. What do I do with it? I have extremely high expenses. My kid recently wants to do this and I cannot afford. Are there other ways to do it? And I personally want to take on, this MBA program, but it's too expensive. How do we do it? How do I raise my income? How do I, get some reality checks with my paycheck? How do I get some side hustles? All these different elements about finance. And it's interesting, it's very interesting that I'm the first one talking about this online, right? And the first podcast, and I Googled, I couldn't find another podcast. It's either I'm really bad at Googling, or there's just no other podcast, right? And there are a few people on YouTube talking about it in Singapore, but yeah, it's still very, very early. So I hope to build this platform for discussion so that we can all throw out our thoughts and throw out our our principles, our underlying beliefs to become more rigorous. Because every time when I talk about certain things, I learn. Someone else will tell me, hey, there's this other viewpoint that you have not looked at. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a pretty good view. So, learning together and developing together, ultimately, I want this to be our home. I want this to be our place to, raise our financial literacy, solve any kind of anxiety that we have, and platform for discussion, free for us to talk about anything. Of course, the theme is finance, yeah. But yeah, I believe it's valuable for us to discuss. The more we talk about it, the more we discuss. That's how we become stronger, and that's why I want to do this podcast, right? So, if you're new to this podcast, I hope you enjoy, this first 10-20 minutes with me, and yeah, get to know each other better. If you have any questions, yeah, feel free to approach me, and I hope to see you around. See ya. Test, test. Hey, I hope you learned something useful today. Truly appreciate that you took time off to better your life with the financial coconut. Knowledge is that much more powerful and interesting. Share, debate it, and discuss. I hope you can share what you've gained with people you love, and I want to hear from you. Send me some questions and help me along with building our community of financially savvy coconuts. I hope together we can fill our curious minds and our desire for clarity. Email me thefinancialcoconut@gmail.com. I will do my best to address your questions in future podcast series, especially if many people are concerned about the same topic. With that, have a great day ahead, stay tuned next week, and always remember, personal finance can be chill, clear, and sustainable for all.